this is once again RRS General 18, and I wish to welcome you back to the General's Garage. Today I'm going to be taking a look at this T25 At Tier 7 tank destroyer in the American non-turreted tank destroyer line. I've actually had quite fun with this tank, despite my first-hand preconceptions. The gun is very similar to the gun on the T29, but it has a much faster rate of fire, which has made this tank really nice, especially in a Tier 7 game. But overall, I was quite surprised. I've heard mixed feelings about this Tier 7, primarily because the armor is not too great. But overall, it was fine for me. It wasn't terrible. The only problem I had with it was in Tier 9 games, where you just can't really pen that E75 or some other heavily armored tank without getting up close and personal and getting two-shot by the 128. But overall, it was fine for me. I have not done anything through the turreted tank destroyer line. I first went through this line primarily because I want the T95. Yes, yeah. That's why you go through the non-turreted tank destroyer line and the T95. But the tech tree to get the T25 to get to where I want to go is quite interesting. At Tier 5, it splits to the Hellcat and the Jackson. I went with Jackson. I probably, looking back on it, I enjoyed it, but most people prefer the Hellcat to the Jackson. That's what a lot of SEAL clubbers will use in Tier 6s and whatnot. It's also said that the turreted line is easier because you have a turret. That may be true, but I've always played most of my TDs without a turret, and so I'm used to that feel, so I don't mind. But looking at the tech, you split the Tier 5 into the Hellcat and Jackson. Then at Tier 8, when you go through the turreted, you can take the go through the prototype, and then sides go down toward the T28 as well, and skip the Jackson and the T25 At. That's one way to do it. I didn't really want to play two slow tanks in a Tier 8, so I just went with the T25 At, and I'm currently at the T28, working my way toward the T95 currently. But so far, I'm pretty impressed with this tech tree. I was impressed with the Jackson. I was impressed with this one, more so than I was expecting to be. And I'm going to show you why in the stats here. 840 hit points. Yeah, that's pretty standard. I know the Yag Panther has 850. SU-100, SU-152 has 870, I believe. So 840 is not terrible. You're run of the mill here. You're not outstanding. You're not really low either. My setup right now, after having taken off most of my equipment, is 39.1 tons, being pushed around by a 704 horsepower engine. This tank can get up and move relatively quickly. It's not the fastest in the tier. That goes to the SU-100, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. I do not have not looked at that tank at all. But overall, it's fairly mobile. You can get around as you need to. Traverse speed, 30 degrees. You can get circled, but it didn't happen to me too often. I was more likely to be surrounded than circled. But overall, it's okay. Our hull armor, this is a little odd. 88 at the front, 76 at the sides, 38 at the rear. The front is pretty well angled, and you can get the occasional bounce, but it's not something you should count on. I know the driver sits over here on this left-hand side or right-hand side, where the mouse cursor is. If you can provide only your gun mantlet, you can get more bounces. That's what they have noticed with a lot of tank destroyers is the gun mantlets will eat shells all day. But everywhere else around the gun mantlet is pretty vulnerable to enemy tanks. Especially considering most of the guns that are shooting back at you are now starting to have 200 plus pen pretty consistently across the board. Now let's look at looking at the gun here. The gun I have on here right now is not it is a Top Gun. Yes, I'm getting a little confused here. I thought I moved a couple of equipment around here, but apparently I did not. So this is indeed the 105 AT gun T51, T5E1. It's a very, no, I can't say it's a very good gun, but it's a great gun. It's got similar stats to the T29, 198 pen, with your standard rounds, 245 with armor piercing, composite rigid, 320 alpha damage on both of those, 53 pen with high explosive, and a 420 average with that. The accuracy is 0.38. Not the most accurate gun to be sniping with, but that's how I play this tank, mostly at a distance. Unless I was in a top tier game where I knew I could get in people's faces and survive long enough. The aim time is very good at 1.7. Overall, this gun is what makes this tank. The rate of fire is outstanding. I put off a shot if I had enough targets. A shot every just under 9 seconds. Compared that to the T29, I believe the T29 is about every 11 seconds. I haven't played that tank in a while, but I know that if T29 and I shoot at the same time, I can hit him before he hits me. So that's the nice thing about this tank is if you do find yourself facing a Tier 7 TD or a Tier 7 heavy tank like the T29, you can do quite a bit of damage. They should be able to kill you, but you should be able to hurt them severely in a close quarters engagement. But overall, I've really enjoyed this tank. Its view range is fairly good at 350, but we're getting up here into the point where tanks have 350 plus, and it sometimes just doesn't cut it. And last but not least, the signal range is 615 meters. You're going to have no problem with that. Which is, pretty standard at this tier and up. You're going to have that long enough view range to cover everything you need to. Alright, so here we're looking at the tech tree. I'm going to go over this really quick. This engine, I believe I had already unlocked. Actually, no, I did not have this engine unlocked. So unless you've done the medium tanks, then you or the T24E1, you will not have this engine, and it does help. It gives you quite a boost, 560 to 704. So yeah, you will notice a big difference with this top engine. You do need the tracks, I believe, to put the big gun on there. However sad that is, but I must say that the 90mm gun isn't that terrible to grind out this. But if you do have the free XP, go ahead and free XP it. I spent a couple of games trying to pen tier 8s with this. Not the best, but it can be done. It's not terrible. That 170 pen can get through the side of most tanks. 240, alpha is not terrible. You're not going to really hit a tank and they're not going to really feel it. Alright, so here we are on steps in our T25 At. Tier 7 game. I'm pursuing with Kevron in his Lorraine 155-50. And this game was one I had to do quite a bit of damage and killing of tanks in order to get the victory. As you can see, Kevron's going toward his artillery spot, and I'm going down here toward the 1-2 line to a typical TD spot. Yes, I did just get rammed by that allied tank there. Our Tiger's being very brave going out there alone that far out. But who can blame him? He's a heavy tank. That's what heavy tanks do. So Panzer IV is pushing across. We don't put enough lead on the shot and we end up missing. But he's run into quite a bit of problems with that Tiger. Oh. Crusader, hoping he pops around, and I miss. The gun on this tank is not very accurate, .38. Not the best. As you can see, I'm firing at this Crusader and I'm having the worst luck imaginable. We finally get a shot into their Tiger, and it was Cupola, which is very nice. And put another one in. I'm not sure if these are going in the Cupola, but they're hitting, they're penetrating, makes me happy. I'm pretty sure that one hit the side of the Tiger P in its weak spot. And we're punishing these guys right now. As you can see, we've already done 1,200 damage. That's what this tank can do. You can just put shot after shot into tanks. And there's a very nice damage roll on that Panzer IV ST. And it's about this point I look back at the map here and I see that the middle is having some issues. And so I'm going to head back there and try and help finish off what's in the middle. Alright, so there's the Type 5 Chinnu, the Tier 5 Japanese medium, the Chinnu Kai. He's being very aggressive coming up the middle like this. And we're going to give him a nice surprise 107 in the back, 105 in the back. Now, at this point, we're losing. Yes, well, now we're tied. But we've lost all our tanks on the eastern flank, and so I decided to make a stand here using that Stug. I know this is very callous, but I'm going to use that Stug as a spotter, at least as long as he's alive. Well, not very long, so here I'm trying to get the best position I can to defend our cap. Take a shot to get rid of the cover and give me a more direct line of fire. Even though you can shoot through objects, I'd rather not be shooting through those, losing penetration on targets that I would need as much penetration as I can to be able to make sure I penetrate and do damage. So I get rid of it. Yes, that was a 1,000 credit shell, but hey, whatever you need, right? Alright, so I'm still being a little callous. I'm letting this SU spot for me, get a nice shot in that VK. Ends up tracking him, and Kevron puts a nice one into him. 700 damage, allowing me to get the kill for 78. So that Stug is happily driving along, and now he's not. Yes, that was nice. Alright, so we have this ELC. We just got shotgunned by our 304. 304 had a great game as well, but unfortunately, he just got knocked out by the Tiger from across the map. Alright, so we have myself, the Bishop, Kevron, and Lorraine, and the Tiger on 200 health. Things are not looking too great right now. But as you can see, I'm going to go back toward where the Tiger was last spotted and push this side a little bit. Overall, I mean, we're hitting 40 miles an hour, or kilometers, excuse me. But it's not slow, but it's not the fastest tank. Completely different story when you get to the T28. That tank is, yeah. So I spot the Tiger and the grill there. The Tiger backed off before I could shoot at him. And I'm trying to decide whether I have to go straight around or... And I decided to take the long way around, seeing as they were expecting me to go that way. Up there's the Tiger once again. I'm now closer in a better position. I'm waiting, and Bishop takes out the Tiger, which makes me a little happier. There are 3 artillery still in play. But we are in a prime position to take them out one by one, using this nice gun. The only one that may give us problems and have to be a 2-shot is the GW Panther. But the grill and the birch gun are 1-shot kills. Alright, so we spot the grill. He's trying to be a little sneaky here. Unfortunately for him, I spotted him and take him out. And there Kevron has decided to come up in his Lorraine. He's going to go TD mode this time. I'm going to crest this train track here. Kevron's going to go up to one of the normal artillery positions up at the A1-2 area. And I'm just going to keep driving and see if he spots anything. So, this game was a lot of movement was required to track down all these artillery. But overall, I mean, I'm in a tank that can do that. It's pretty mobile, it's got a gun with a great rate of fire, and up there's a birch gun. And there's GW Panther. I see him, he's aiming, he fires, and misses. He backed off before I could get the shot into him. So we're just going to run him down real quick. Yeah. The nice thing about I find that from the turreted line versus the non-turreted line is the non-turreted line have better rates of fire and I believe better accuracy. And we did not one hit kill that GW, unfortunately. We left him on 14 health. And there we go. There's the kill. Overall, a great game, and we're going to take a look at some post-game stats. Alrighty, so here we are looking at the post-game stats of the Battle on Steps. As you can see, we got 32,500 credits with a standard account, 1,150 XP, enough for a first-class mastery badge. We got a sneaky little Pascucci's medal for killing the 3 artillery, high caliber, and top gun. As you can see, the number of tanks we hit and did quite a bit of damage to was quite a few. Yeah, I mean, the gun on this tank is really, really good. Not as accurate as I would like it to be, but its accuracy is made up by the fact that its rate of fire is excellent. So looking at the team scores here, you can see we did the most damage of 3,012. Very nice result for us there. That was twice as much as our Tiger and our 304, and twice as much as their Tiger. So as you can see, we had a great game here, doing a lot of damage and getting a lot of XP. So here we are looking at the detailed report, and 18 shots fired, 13 hit. Of the 13 that hit, all of them penetrated, which is really nice. Damage 3,012. We did take 1 hit of splash damage, but other than that, nothing too spectacular. We played it really sneakily that game, and managed to get away with it. So we damaged 9 enemies, killed 6, and we did quite a bit of damage upon detecting of 1,268, which is not bad. It's always nice to be able to spot your own targets. So looking at, how much we made profit, we made 14,500 that game on profit, which is always nice. Then again, I didn't have to do any repairs, so that kind of helped out a little bit. But I mean, overall, I'm quite impressed with this tank. This is my only review I'm going to be showing, primarily because I just don't have any other reviews and I've already sold the tank. So, yeah, I really did enjoy this tank for the most part. There are games where you get into a tier 10 and you have to place your shots well. Side the tanks are your friends. Long range is your friend, mostly. That .38 accuracy will bite you in the rear in those tier 9 games when you need to hit that shot and it just doesn't quite go where you want it to at long range. But I have had some great games in tier 9. Some like I've had a 3,000 damage game in a tier 9, actually, believe it or not, shooting at E75s from the side. I believe it was on El Haluf, but I don't have that battle replay with me anymore. But this tank can do and can carry games in, especially in its own tier. So this concludes my replay. I do recommend this tank, even though it is next to the T25/2 on the way to T30. I do recommend most tanks in the non-turreted tank destroyer line. I've had great fun with all of them, believe it or not, even the T28. So the only thing that really people complain about is it doesn't have a turret. Well, this tank is maneuverable enough where you can get into a place where it doesn't matter if you have a turret, which is the great thing about it. Alright, so this is the end of the